What is going on, everybody, and welcome. Today, we're talking about the bull market and how we are currently entering into one of the best phases, the absolute best phases of the market. It is not without danger, of course, which we'll go through, but there is so much opportunity. So I wanted to take today a nice Sunday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world, to explain what is going to happen next and how I plan to navigate this next phase, which, by the way, does not appear as though it's going to exactly mimic the phases of yesteryear. Every bull market, every cycle is unique. And what we're looking at is a clear paradigm shift into one category, into one particular movement that completely outstrips and outshines every other. We're also looking at two fundamental catalysts that are, in my opinion, some of the absolute most important for the next 30 to 60 days. Anything that happens during the last 2 months of the bull market, if it is the last 2 months, tends to be typically the most impactful because there is so much excitement, so much new energy coming into the space that each announcement tends to be super, super duper impactful. I'm going to go ahead and shout out some of the people in the audience right now. Guys, make sure that you go in and that you retweet this tweet if you want to be entered into the contest to win an NFT today. Make sure that you guys go. I just tweeted it a couple seconds ago. So go make sure that you retweet and comment up with your ETH address if you want to win. Now, there are two things happening right now. First of all, massive shout out to everybody. Please, if you could all do us the favor, and we have almost 3,000 people in the house. Thank you to all of you beautiful people. Please smash that like button. Smashing the like button is the common ritual that we do together here to show the YouTube algorithm that this content should be seen by more people. It's been working. Some of the most important pieces of content over the last month have reached crazy amounts of eyeballs. We're talking 250,000 views here on the channel. That's not what we normally do around here. And it shows to me as though the information, the quality of the content is really speaking to the audience and it's helping people. I know I've been getting crazy amounts of DMs, people telling me that they've gained XYZ in their portfolio. Someone told me that they have finally put down a down payment on a house and they're moving into it with their kids and they finally have stability. Other people telling me that they were helped out earlier on in the bull run and they've continually gotten more and more active as I push you to do it in this industry. And now they're actually getting roles as advisors, as collaborators on new projects, and they're making consistent, continual, not passive, but they're making vocational income here in the industry. So people who feel like outsiders, they see a lot of money flying around, understand that this is your industry as much as it is anyone else's. It's the beauty of decentralization. It's not like the Silicon Valley Brofest where you have to know somebody to get a job at some new hot app. You have to know the insider crew. No. All you have to do is be active, be excited, and be engaged. And if you're one of the best community members, you can very well become a community mod. And then from community mod, if you crush that, you could become a community manager and even start working your way into core team. We actually hired someone recently from within the SuperFarm community to work on the development side because they were just so talented. So there's a path for everybody. If you do want to take it seriously and you do want to make this your home, this is your home too. So this isn't, I've seen so many people transform their current life and opportunities. And what's going to happen here, based on the supply shock and a few other trends, there's going to be more opportunity flooding into this space than pretty much any other. I'm going to shout out a couple of people. Buy the Dip says he wants a Lambo. Well, if you want a Lambo, probably going to be hard to get it any other place than if you're crushing it in crypto. I genuinely believe that. I see a lot of shills here. What else we got? Lots of people shouting out SuperFarm. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I'm going to save all the fireworks for the SuperFarm main official announcements. I'm going to let the foundation do their announcements, and then I can comment on them. Let's see. Superverse is incoming, very much incoming. Gosh, guys, the chat is moving so fast I can barely keep up with it. I kind of love it though. So I'm not going to slow it down. All right, 4,100 of you guys in the chat. Half of you guys haven't liked, probably more than half. Please smash that like button and let's dive into this. I'm going to tell you why the next few months are going to be crazy. First of all, we get on-chain. Every single time there's been issues or confusion as to which way the market's going, and it's always like that, right? It's always like that. Let me go ahead and just bring up the charts so you can see this. We have people now being like, oh, well, we've been hanging out here. Bitcoin's been hanging out between 60 and 64 for a certain amount of time. Like, is it real? Is it going to pump? Whatever. And what we're seeing is it's having a nice little break upwards over the 62K level. But if we zoom out, we see like, you know, it really is having a lot of trouble getting above the 64K region. We did have a slight breakout here the other day to 66. On the whole, what I look at is long-term patterns. These, you just got to like stay a little detached from the day to day. And if you're ever really worried about Bitcoin, we have all this information about the on-chain metrics. This is why Will is one of the best resources. Will Clemente the third, 19-year-old, it's just ultra giga legend here in crypto, just giving us the on-chain that we need here. 200,000 Bitcoin, 200,000 Bitcoin. How much is 200,000? 200, 1, 2, 3 times 60, 1, 2, 3 is 120. Is that billion? 1, 2, 3. It's $12 billion. So $12 billion worth of Bitcoin has been moved off of exchanges, according to Glassnode. The equivalent, oh, it says it right there. I'm stupid. Anyway, so the point here is that there is wild amounts of Bitcoin being taken off of exchanges. As you can see here, these red periods where there's a ton of Bitcoin outflow, look at how heavily Bitcoin tends to go up in price right after, right? You have these huge outflows and you see massive, massive growth thereafter, right? We have the same here where we have massive outflows and massive growth. And so when you see huge amounts of outflows, then you just really need to understand that that is extremely bullish on-chain. So the on-chain metrics right now, as bullish as we have seen them back throughout the middle part of the year, which was, of course, when we got massive amounts of Bitcoin price action, right? So that these outflows show that over the next sort of midterm few months, you should see some nice supply shock, meaning that there is just not going to be enough Bitcoin to satisfy the buyers. And that means that they're going to start buying at higher and higher prices. This is how we get to higher price Bitcoin, right? 5,000 of you guys in the house on a Sunday night of all times. Thank you guys. We're going to go into some more of this stuff. Thank you for joining me here. So what I want to do here is talk about this as well. We just got the infrastructure bill, which I really, of course, tried to beg you guys to make some noise about. It seems as though there is a lot of forces in the works right now pushing to get a massive, massive an amendment to that bill passed. It seems as though we have until January 2024 to fix this. So that gives us over 2 full calendar years. That's enough time, especially with the growth of this industry and the understanding that crypto should have a home in the United States. It should have a home in the most powerful, disruptive, innovative nation in the world, in my opinion. And people can disagree with that. But America is still, you know, the king of generic freedoms for a superpower. It's the worst place except for compared to all the others. And so this infrastructure bill, though, the big thing here is that we have $1 trillion in new spending, $1 trillion in new spending. And that is something that you just cannot wash over. You can't just whitewash that amount of new capital. It's going to find its way into hard capped, low supply or scarce assets of sorts. There's just absolutely 0% chance this isn't good for crypto. And it seems as though the spend, and spend some more attitude is just continuing to prevail here in crypto land, or in the macro economy, specifically in the United States. And it really doesn't seem as though there's any signs this will stop. I mean, we're having a supply chain crisis. That's only going to get fixed with spending. We're having supply chain crisis impacting, worse yet, all these traditional industries. We're having so many issues, right? And so these are things that you just have to continue to spend to get your way out of. That's the deal. So this is hugely bullish, mixed with some macro on-chain or some on-chain bullishness here. We see billions of dollars in on-chain exchange outflows, meaning that these coins are being taken off of exchange so that they don't get sold. These are 2 fantastic catalysts. And to make things even juicier, we have Reddit. Reddit coming in. If you guys don't know, Alexis Ohanian, who's the co-founder of Reddit, has been a massive NFT head over the last few months. You should follow him on Twitter. He was really big into the loot experiment. He would probably be very big into Neo Tokyo if he knew more about it. That's the truth, is that Alexis Ohanian is a Web3 maximalist, and he's definitely a welcome addition to the tribe here of Web3 lovers. So just to recount, we have Twitter adding formal verification for your NFTs, adding strike payments over Twitter. Then we also have, in my opinion, one of the biggest additions to the space is now Reddit. Because Reddit, I think, has a genuine Web3 mindset. Whereas, of course, we have evil Meta coming in with the Facebook stuff. We can talk a little bit about Meta and how bullish it is for Metaverse applications, showing and validating the space, which, of course, is the absolute truth of it. However, we also have essentially the great evil that we need to combat, the absolute undisputed evil empire, which is that of Facebook coming into the metaverse. So we have sort of a holy war, a crusade here. And what it takes is, for these early idealistic blockchain projects, we need to dig our heels in and support them and help them achieve a scale that can ward off the influences that are effectively enemies of the open metaverse. But just digging into this a little bit more, we have 500 million users on Reddit, and they will be tokenizing karma points. So essentially, karma right now is something that you earn. It's an intangible sort of currency that people have on Reddit for sharing, for voting, for participating. But karma is not fungible. Now they're about to add an ERC20 token, and it looks like they're deploying, from what I saw, their own instance of Arbitrum. That was what I heard last. Yeah, so Reddit has partnered with Off-Chain Labs at Arbitrum and created their own separate instance. Community points for 2 subreddits are already on Rinkeby and our Arbitrum network, separate from Arbitrum 1. So they're going to have their own blockchain. Effectively, that's an Ethereum layer 2. That's essentially its own instance of Arbitrum. So they're running it with Off-Chain Labs. I don't think this is necessarily bullish for Arbitrum, the token. However, I do believe this is massively bullish for the Ethereum environment, the Ethereum ecosystem, because users equal value. I keep saying this over and over again. I feel like I'm getting boring saying this. Users equal value, and the more users, the more value. Networks are what creates blockchain. Look at Shiba Inu. Why is it so valuable? Because it's got a ton of people who are part of the network. Look at Doge, same thing. It doesn't mean it's right or that makes someone very sophisticated by buying those things. But the reason why Bitcoin is so valuable is the network of users. The reason why Ethereum is so valuable is the network of users, investors, developers. And that's why Ethereum, despite its usability issues, continues to crush it, is because of the network effect on users, developers, and investors. Now, what we see here, little liquid interlude there. What we see here is that 500 million users would absolutely trounce and completely obliterate the size expectations, the scale that we've seen before. Need a little more water. Ooh. Okay. 500 million. Just to give you a little sense of scale here, we just saw Phantom, the largest wallet on Solana, and Solana is the hottest new thing in the world. The new Phantom wallet has just hit 1 million users, and that's super awesome. But that's 1/500th of what Reddit would be bringing to the table. So you just need to understand how important adding 500 million users is and how big it is that we're going to be giving them fungible crypto that can be their on-ramp just by using. They can use and earn. This is the future, the absolute future of Web3. And seeing Alexis Ohanian jump in and tokenize karma points, obviously, it's not him directly, but the entire project. I'm sure Alexis was a part of this decision. This is a huge, huge, huge jump. And this means that we're going to have a massive network effect leap forward in the coming days and weeks. This isn't just some BS Fugazi press release. This is a major, major, major addition. Mixed with this on-chain bullishness, we also have the infrastructure bill. This is macro catalyst, macro catalyst, macro catalyst. So you need to understand how many macro catalysts we're staring down the barrel of right now. Meanwhile, it does appear as though the entire market looks like it's just wanting to break free into new price discovery territory, as well as the entire crypto markets just want to explode. Now, I do want to say that today's episode is one of bullishness as well as caution, because as we get to these late stages of the bull run, and no, I don't think Reddit single-handedly can save, and extend the bull run by another 12 months. It's a fantastic, fantastic catalyst for higher growth. But again, we need to understand that at a certain point, if big Bitcoin, if big Bitcoin whales start deciding to sell at some point, that this on-chain will flip to bearish. And when on-chain flips to bearish, you will see that no token will be stronger than the cycle. Sorry, I had to cough there. No token will be stronger than the cycle if we do go to a macro bearish winter, whether that lasts a few months or a few years, whatever it might be. That's what I'm trying to prepare you guys for mentally, is that we're still in the good part of this and that we're still looking at a massive next wave. But if this is anything like prior cycles, this will be the big final push. And usually the big final push is huge in the amount of gains it gives. If we look here at 2018, you can see here that we had this consolidation throughout the sort of tail end of the year. But then once we got to, it breaking up here past the prior high of the mid-year, which is about 4,000, 5,000, we got out of Bitcoin another 4x, right? Another 4x gains, which for us would put us over $200,000, which is super, super sick. Absolutely amazing. Ridiculous. Same with 2013. We had this consolidation through mid-year. And then what do we have? They had the price peak at about 141. Then once it got back above it, we actually had a much bigger appreciation. We had it hit 1127. And so we ended up with a double bubble effect here, as they called it. And you ended up with not quite a 10x, like a 9x, right? Or something like that. Whatever, just call it a 10x, right? So if we're looking at the end of the year here, we would want to see at least a few X's out of Bitcoin, a 2x, a 3x, anything like over 100,000, I'm thinking is very, very exciting for the market, right? I had picked total market caps to be about $10 trillion. And as you can see, we're about $3 trillion. I think I'm pretty, sorry guys, got a little tickle in my throat. I think I'm pretty bang on the money with my expectation for the total market cap. Coincidentally, that also puts it very much so in comparable territory. And by the way, you can see on total market caps, we're at all-time highs. Even though Bitcoin's not an all-time high, we're seeing total market caps at an all-time high. So what you see here is that we just have like really, really bullish momentum around us within the industry all around. I'm not sick, guys. I actually just had some almonds, and they're just like, I ate right before I came on camera. I wasn't coughing at all. And now that I'm talking, I need to I have like this scratchiness from the food I just ate. I won't get sick, guys. I'll tell you what would make sure I really don't get sick, which would really help my immune system, is if everybody smashed that like button. Right now, we only have 3.3K likes and we have 7,000 people in the house. I know you guys are all absolutely loving and crushing this entire bull run. So please crush that like button. It means a lot. It means a lot. Okay, here's the deal. This is not relevant to this moment. This is relevant to the next 5 years. There is no investment opportunity that can even come close to the metaverse. We're seeing it. BitBoy's channel is becoming a metaverse channel. They're even launching a second channel. We're seeing literally every brand start to move into the metaverse. We saw Nike trademark their metaverse. We saw literally every brand that will jump into the metaverse. Here's the thing. The most important brands here are the gaming brands, because games are the first layer of the metaverse. You need stuff to do in the metaverse. And that's why blockchain games, not just sort of like open cartons, open. I think of like a metaverse as a container. It's a container for human interaction. And without activities, it means nothing. Tight gameplay loops, to me, is the first layer of the metaverse, the first meaningful layer of the metaverse. And then we'll move into VR over time as the tech gets better, as the metaverse qualities get better. And those gaming experiences will eventually become the things that we do within the metaverse. What do you think we're going to do? Even in Facebook's metaverse, we're going to go meet up and watch concerts, see movies, play games, right? And we're going to do things interactively. And so those things are still the cornerstone, even in a metaverse like Epic Games or Facebook might create. So games are it. Even I don't know if you guys saw Ready Player One, but what did they do inside the metaverse? They played games. They played racing games. They played fighting games. They played fantasy games. It was all games, right? And so if you can see that games are the actual most important parts of the metaverse, what were the things that they loved? They loved the items from within the games within the metaverse. Those were the things that they were buying. Yes, they were in this like fluid metaverse that went between game to game to game. But the reality is that it was always the game items and the games themselves that were the staples of the experience. So remember that. Like we've seen this, we know what's going to happen. So this is the biggest sort of asymmetrical bet over the next few years. And what people fail to realize is that the games that are ready here, like Axie Infinity, like Illuvium, like Star Atlas, like the ones we've been telling you about, Sandbox, the ones that actually have gameplay ready today, and of course, a game called Imposters that's going to be coming out within the SuperFarm metaverse. These games are not just a little ahead; they are years ahead, and the amount of network effect that they'll create now will allow them to get so big that they can actually come and take on these big mainstream studios and companies that won't actually do what's needed, which is to go full Web3 community-owned, player-owned economies. What people fail to understand is that the ownership is what's the big key here. The ownership is the disruptive feature. Now, what blockchain fundamentally allows you to do is own digital stuff. That's really cool. DeFi was the next real evolution. Or well, then you essentially have ownership with Bitcoin. Then you have the ability to code smart contracts or applications with Ethereum. Then you have DeFi, and now you have Metaverse. And all of these technologies come under the hood for Metaverse, for gaming, really, first as a step into the Metaverse. And this is the big deal, is its ownership. It's the censorship-free ownership, censorship-resistant ownership. So the companies that are just going to say, here's some NFTs, that's not fully owned by the players, right? There needs to be huge next levels of community-powered ownership that are required for full decentralized and real community-centric projects. Because in the end, the point of this is to make people's lives better, right? That's why we make games, is to entertain. That's why we make, that's essentially the goal of every product, is to enrich the life of the user. And so in this particular new world, the goal is to essentially turn over the max amount of control, influence, and ownership to the user, to the player. So that's really the goal. And I don't believe that most of these sort of AAA studios, look at what happened with Steam and Valve, you see that there's no real incentive for them. There's no interest from them to actually give true ownership. And so that's why you're seeing, that's why you are seeing essentially, in my opinion, the most important projects are sort of in front of you right now. And the ones that truly look at it, the decentralization and community ownership aspects, those are the ones that are going to thrive on another level. So with that in mind, understand that yes, other game studios might start putting crypto in their games, and those might be hits, but that's a sort of a mid-level to actually truly player-owned economies. Understand that, in my opinion, the gameplay might be more likely to come from a AAA studio, but the real way I see this going is this. These metaverse projects are getting so big, like Axie Infinity, that they should really just buy a studio. Axie Infinity has like $1 bajillion. They should just buy a AAA studio, right? And leave the gameplay to the AAA studios, but then leave the economy building to the crypto heads. And so that's how I actually see this going. So you could say, okay, well, Axie Infinity is a basic game. Sure. But they have all the money in the world to change the gameplay, to upgrade the gameplay, and to give more meaning to the NFTs in the economy. I don't believe that the same stance will be taken by the mainstream entities. I think it's much more likely that we see a crypto company get so big and so exciting that they acquire big AAA studios with their existing gameplay. Now, I do believe that the gameplay coming out of the SuperFarm ecosystem is next generation in so many ways, and that the thinking around the economy is truly empowering to the users, and that the path from a project like that to actually disrupting the mainstream studios is a much more likely path than just sort of hoping and praying that these mainstream studios come and like do the right thing. Okay, let's jump in here to the next topic, which is the same, blockchain technology and metaverse stuff. This is just the flavor, which I'm super excited to see. But the reality is that games are going to be the most important step onto this. We've talked about it. Now, we did want to talk about a little bit of caution, right? We're seeing a lot of leverage come into the market, which means we could get a massive leverage rinse here. And a massive leverage rinse could effectively send us back down to the 50s or whatever, send us much lower, right? And so we just had $470 million worth of shorts opened. And now that could potentially send us up with a short squeeze. That's the hope, right? You could have leverage squeezed in either direction. So if you get too many shorts, you could end up getting a squeeze to the upside. Too many longs, you get a squeeze to the downside. The point is we're getting leveraged, and that could send us either up or down in a pretty important and violent way. And those types of moves, I think, again, they don't take away from this macro on-chain bullishness. They don't take away from this catalyst. They don't take away from this catalyst. Just wanted you to understand that, these are the realities. Now, I have been talking about Sol a lot on the channel. Now we're talking about Sol flipping ETH. Let's see how likely that is right now. Just getting a little bit of context here. We have Sol sitting at 75 billion. We have ETH sitting at 546 billion. It looks like Sol would need to about 10x here or 8x here to catch up with ETH staying still. I don't see Solana 8xing without ETH moving. That seems fairly unlikely. Look, I think Ethereum will get challengers all the time. Solana is this seems like the hottest and best challenger right now. However, the reality is that Solana has a lot to prove to show before it's a true ETH killer, in my opinion. There's a reason why Reddit is building on the Ethereum ecosystem on Arbitrum and locking their transactions into Ethereum base network and not Solana, right? So can Solana one day become a viable challenger to ETH? Sure. I don't think it's today. Might it make a run up the charts here? For sure. I mean, we've seen Solana's price action is absolutely nutty. It's also highly, manipulated because the reality is that Solana has so many VC owners controlling so much of the supply. It's much less like that with ETH. It's much more decentralized and much more honest, I feel like, the price action. That said, can you make money with Solana? You're darn tootin'. And I've been sort of pushing the Solana narrative for many, many moons now. I think we first covered Solana at about $1. Okay. Also, come on, you gotta love this. All right. If you guys enjoyed Elon Musk essentially putting out the fate of $20 billion in Tesla stock on a Twitter poll, then destroy that like button because it is quite historic. You have Mr. Beast weighing in saying the Twitter poll decides the fate of $20 billion of Tesla stock. LOL. LOL indeed. LOL indeed. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. It seems a bit absolutely nuts to me. What else do we have here? Finally, a little bit more caution. It feels a little bit like November 2017. That's a good thing in that we should see a massive run in altcoins that if you guys are smart and if you take your profits after you're up 5, 10, 20x, you'll have a great little nest egg left over to start investing during the bear market. You don't have to catch the exact top. There will be rebounds and retraces and all that good stuff. But now we're starting to see these uncapped raises where people are sort of bringing in as much money as the market will allow. And that for like generic tokens is really, really dangerous because people just don't know, right? People just don't know the value. And a lot of this stuff is unbuilt and it's just completely speculative. So we're seeing a little bit of November 2017 mania come in. Most of the raises have been sort of like cut off at a certain valuation, saying, hey, the project's bringing in like $2 million at, whatever it might be. And then the reality is that can you guys stop spamming stuff, please? Oh gosh, the spam bots are out. I apologize, guys. I apologize. I'm going to do just a little bit of moderation. Everybody really, really, really wants to talk about Kuma, but I'm not going to do it because it seems like a scam. Okay. So The biggest thing you guys need to understand is that once the market gets to this point where essentially people are being like completely shameless with the amount of money they're raising, there's a ton of risk. Now we saw this with like the EOS IOs. This is like, it smells like EOS, right? Where EOS raised $4 billion and did nothing with it. And we actually heard horror stories about how little those founders invested back into their community. It's really sad. And so, and so the reality here is that this feels quite a bit like that end moment of 2017. We're seeing aggressive raises. We're seeing a little bit of, sort of unbridled bullishness. And as soon as you forget about the bear market, as soon as it seems like a bear market is impossible, that's precisely when it comes. That's when you reach what's called the euphoria stage. Let me actually bring out psychology. Let's see. Market cycle. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's this chart. Okay. So this is the psychology of a market cycle chart. And what you see here is that this was created, I think, like 100 years ago based on the Wall Street market collapse of 1929. But the reality is that all market cycles and bubbles kind of follow a similar format, which is, by the way, crypto is built to be exponential and bubbly. It's by design. It's not a bug. It's a feature. But you just need to understand that on a macro and micro level, this happens all the time, where you get sort of like optimism and you get hope into optimism, into belief, and then thrill, and then you get euphoria. I'd like to believe that we are somewhere between optimism and belief, maybe getting to thrill, but we will be looking at euphoria eventually. And after euphoria, which is everyone's a genius. I see a lot of geniuses on the timeline, lots of geniuses here, geniuses. And once you start seeing everybody being a genius, I see people growing, promising to pump coins, thinking that because a coin that they promised would go up in an environment like this is going up. That's something that is just what happens at this time of the year, right? And people will find the bitter reality of what is and isn't a good long-term project eventually, right? And many of the projects that pumped so easily will dump easily, and they will never come back because they were actually not good to begin with. So being selective right now is not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm just saying, look, this party will come to an end at some point. They always do. And then being ready for a blow off top, and then for this sort of downside is what you need to be mentally ready for. And if you're mentally ready for it, then you can capitalize on it. You can capitalize on it by essentially taking profits up here, right here during the complacency, during the euphoria. Even if you miss the euphoria blow off top, take some profits during complacency, and then, or even during anxiety, and then you'll be able to buy during depression. You want to buy the depression and you want to sell the euphoria. Buy depression, sell euphoria. Buy depression, sell euphoria. You don't buy euphoria. You do not buy euphoria, right? When the chart looks like a skateboard ramp, and it looks like Tony Hawk can launch a 900 off of it, and it just goes like that, or like that, like this, just straight up. That is absolutely the time that we're getting to euphoria. So just understand, when it's going straight up, how much more buying pressure does it need to keep that pattern? And that's where you get the sort of break of the pattern, right? Anyway. So it feels a little like, where is it? I thought this was funny. Yeah, you can get 30% plus APY on stable coins, and everyone outside crypto doesn't care because they don't believe it's real. And people who are in crypto don't care because that's too low. That was pretty funny. But yeah, it does feel like November 2017. I would be preaching to you guys to understand that this is awesome and that this is where all the magic happens. And if you saw the Krown video from this morning, you can actually see that there could be potentially a very, very, very long market cycle here that could last until May. And if that does happen, we could very, very well have a massive, massive bull run ahead of us. The reality is that, and by the way, for people who are super chatting me just random tokens that they want me to talk about, I apologize. I make it pretty clear that I'm not just going to read a shill. There are complete scammy content creators taking my content, clipping it up, trying to pretend I'm talking about something else. So I have to be very careful what words even come out of my mouth, or else this stuff can be manipulated. So I apologize, but I'm not going to read just things that just because they're super chat. But I do appreciate you people who want to get through and super chat and connect with the channel. Do I want to do a charity collab as one of the super chats? Sure, of course. I always like supporting good causes. Somebody's saying they missed Neo Tokyo and they thought secondary buyers would not be valued, and they want to know how to participate in open metaverses with me. Okay, so first of all, Neo Tokyo is an ongoing game with lots more layers to it. Of course, I've heard that most of the sellers are really upset that they sold, that they are in agony. And then, of course, with SuperFarm, obviously, it's a very different ecosystem. But SuperFarm's big game release is coming up. So obviously, if you want to be a part of that, it's going to be extremely, extremely competitive. We're going to be running a lot of sort of not exactly as brutal as Neo Tokyo, but we're going to be running challenges to build an amazing community of deserving first wave Genesis buyers for that sale. It's going to be extremely hard to get into. And then, of course, SuperFarm NFT holders and EllioTrades NFT holders will be able to get into that. And then Neo Tokyo has plans as well for the future, which will be announced. I don't want to break anything too soon, but just know that if you weren't able to get into Neo Tokyo, which is, I think at this point, you know, I tweeted something earlier today where I said effectively, code is art. I said code is art, and Neo Tokyo embodies that to the fullest. The actual NFTs are code for now. The actual NFTs are code, and the art of the creation of this community is something that I'm extremely proud of, and I believe is going to echo through the halls of eternity in the NFT space. It's completely redefined. I have tons of projects coming to me saying, hey, we're going to try to essentially knock off Neo Tokyo because it works so well. And so we know that this is the art of how Neo Tokyo was created goes beyond the code, but it's also code. So I think it deserves to be make its way up to the highest levels here and be sold as art. So if you guys wouldn't mind retweeting this tweet here on my Twitter, the link is in the description of this video. I'd really appreciate it because I think it would be very deserving to get an auction. Again, I'm not ever selling my NFT, so this would just be someone from the community who has one, being able to auction it off at Sotheby's, just to show the quality and the importance of the project. So if you guys could retweet this, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, so back to the final points here, which is yeah, I'll get a moderator soon. I'll ban Gene. Who's Gene? Gosh, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that there's this amazing, amazing moment where people are going to create a lot of wealth. There is going to be hopefully not as brutal of a bear market, and hopefully this cycle keeps going till May or so. But the reality is that this is an opportunity where you actually have the chance to create enough investment of an investment pool that if you play strategically over the next few years and you protect it and you wait for things to get depressing in this chart and you wait for the depression phase, you're going to be in a chance to really ride that next 100x gain of the metaverse projects. So this is all I can say is I'm going to keep banging the table. We now have, I think, 8,500 people in the house, which is, I think, one of the highest I've ever had in a live stream. So that's something we're celebrating. Guys, please smash the like button so we can show this to more people. The market's ready to explode. Playing this right, being in the smart metaverse projects, being there for when essentially Coinbase introduces their NFT market. You have Reddit now bringing in 500 million users. You have the infrastructure bill. You have on-chain metrics bullish. There's another leg in this. And the leg, if you play this right, after that is very uncertain. But if you play this next leg right, I believe a lot of you will be positioned in a very unique place for the rest of your lives. You'll be in a position to play this game properly if you're just getting started. Also understand that there's huge risk. We could easily nuke down. We don't know, right? No, we don't know, but the macro is very bullish. That's what I believe. This is my opinion, how I'm navigating the market. I encourage you guys to do your own research. As always, we're going to be coming out with some individual coin picks over the next few days. So make sure you're subscribed with that bell notification on. I have shout out to everyone who's showing support for SuperFarm. I know that this is very, very, very much an important topic to all of you. There are the formal announcements will start coming out next week, so you guys will get a better sense of how everything's connecting together in the SuperFarm project. But it's pretty much been the last 4 years of my work coming together here. So I'm super, super excited. But just know if you want to get into Neo Tokyo, SuperFarm, the Superverse, in general, there are going to be a ton of opportunities coming up for you. And I believe together we have the opportunity. Together we have the opportunity to create an idealistic metaverse, which is, in my opinion, the highest aspiration for the next sort of 10 years, 20 years of society. There are going to be many metaverses that are not open, they are not decentralized, they are not community owned, and they are not user first. They are organization first. Just like Facebook is never going to be really pro user, they're going to be pro them, right? And if you know anything about Mark, you know that Mark Zuckerberg is one of the biggest power mongers in the world. So this is becoming much bigger than just a battle for who's going to be the coolest metaverse. No, we need to truly win the war for player owned, for community powered, for decentralized. And if we do that in the metaverse, then I believe everyone will have, I believe the opportunities for normal people across the world will be drastically improved. And that's what motivates me. I hope you guys are having a happy and healthy day wherever you are. It's Sunday, so we're not going to go too hard and not going to go too long here, 40 minutes into the stream. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. If you guys could all please smash that like button. We have a coins list coming out, as well as some amazing in-depth videos this week and massive, massive announcements on all sides. Really, I just feel like just the news is overwhelming. So I hope you guys are excited. It's going to keep getting more and more interesting over the coming weeks. As always, I'm EllioTrades. You can find me on Twitter at EllioTrades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode. Goodbye.